There we go. Oh my goodness. So many different little buttons to be doing and pressing. So I am excited to welcome on our next guest, Mariah. Hello, darling.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good, my love. How are you? I believe you are in America, which is strange for me because the last time I saw you, you were here in Bali. So
I am. I'm kind of on this like worldwide tour, and it's one of those interesting things because I love to travel, I love to tour, and I'm actually in my friend's guest room right now. And so I had this moment where I was like, I'm watching all these people have all these beautiful backgrounds, and I'm like, I have a blank wall, and that's okay, because one of the things that I find is like the beautiful thing for me about your work and my work and all of our work is I'm in the States for a period of time until I make it back to Bali, and I literally can keep doing this magical purpose work anywhere that I am in the world. And so there's those moments where I'm like, I miss my pretty background. And there's the places where, well, but my pretty background is the different mountains and landscapes and all of these things that I get to see all the time.
exactly. Like this is the thing that I love just about being able to be online and the socials and the internet is the fact that we can be everywhere and your red wall looks amazing. So it's it's totally perfect. I'm excited that you're bringing your magic and your wisdom and your gifts into the space today. So thank you so much for joining us. I know you're going to speak about the womb, the feminine revolution, and business. So anyone who already has any questions or comments, please make sure you put them. I will pop them up on the screen for Mariah so that she can see them as she is talking. I'm sure she would love for you to engage and interact with her if it feels in alignment for you. And I am going to love you and leave you and pop backstage and let you do your magic. Thanks, darling.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Mariah Rossel. I'm so glad to see all of you here today. I, like most of the ladies here on this group panel today, I'm a womb spiral practitioner, and I have a business, Shamelessly Successful Actualization Agency, where we focus on helping people build and birth businesses. And so we help them either start their business or take their business into the next level. And when Zephyria asked me to speak on this panel, I had a moment of, well, what do I want to talk about? And I have so many different things I could talk about. And then moments after Zephyria and I were talking, I was talking to my copywriter, and she asked me this question about, well, how, about feminism and how the womb ties into my philosophy on feminism and how all of this works. And all of a sudden I just like verbally vomited all over her. And I was like, oh, obviously what I just said to you was what I need to talk to everybody about. And so the thing is, when we look at patriarchy so far has been like men, or the masculine is better than the feminine, than women. But feminism, this is actually the place of coming back into equality, of honoring all people, honoring all genders equally. And so one of the things though, so it's not one is better than the other. And so the question really came to me is like, where is this place of equalizing? Where is this place that we're going to come from there? And for me, it was like, this has always been about business. Business and economic stability, economic strength is one of these places where this is where we now have power, or empowerment. I don't like to use the word power as much, because to me, I have power over you means that I am pushing you down. Whereas empowerment, we can lift each other up together. And so the thing that kept coming up to me is like, before I was doing the womb spiral, I was doing a lot of clinical work. And a lot of the work that I kept finding myself running into is I would have women tell me these stories all the time of, oh, I'm choosing to get married or enter this relationship for these financial reasons, or I'm choosing to stay in this unhealthy or toxic relationship because of these financial reasons, especially if their children are involved. And so what I saw is, it's like, when there is not financial ability, when we are financially struggling, it's not that we don't have a choice. It's just choice A sucks and choice B sucks, right? Neither option is good. And so now when we have these places where we can have financial ability, now we have reasonable choice versus other reasonable choice. It's not, do I stay in this unhealthy relationship or do I become homeless? It's, do I stay in this unhealthy relationship or do I go, and I still have to deal with the heartbreak. I still have to deal with the emotional loss and the social losses and all of those things, but I'm at least not homeless, right? And so when we have financial stability, we also have this place where we strengthen our relationships. And so no longer is it, I have to be in a relationship. It's, I choose to be in this relationship. And so now there's not this place of, oh, are you staying in this relationship for me financially? Or am I staying in this choice because I have to? It's the, no, I don't need this relationship. I don't need to be here. I choose to be here. I want to be here. Right. And so when partnership is no longer for survival, it's now a place where we can open and we can blossom into pleasure. We can open and blossom into love. We have all of these other things because we are no longer connecting on this base level of survival. The base level of survival has been taken care of. And so, like when we look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, for instance, that basic, can I live, is taken care of. And so now I can go into, can I have passion? Can I have compassion? Can I have purpose? Can I have enlightenment? Oh, I can have all of these things. This opens it up. But if there is a continual space of, I don't know what my financial reality is, which in the current economic structure is, I don't know how I am going to be safe, then we literally don't have the brain bandwidth to ask, where is enlightenment? We don't have the brain bandwidth to ask, how do I have a fulfilling relationship? It's the, how do I, there's this subconscious story that goes along saying, how do I make sure that my partner likes me enough not to leave me so that I can stay economically safe, right? So really what this does, it opens up a space for us to choose to have this economic space. And the way this all ties into the womb, right? So we're talking about womb gates. The Temple of Armella is all about womb activation. Now, how does this all fit in? So when we look at this and we look at the womb is in our second chakra. And so our second chakra is all about creation. And as we were beautifully hearing about before by Brigitte and Jamie, we can look at the womb biologically. It creates babies, right? But it also creates, our home of creativity. It's also our home of creation. What are we creating? This is our space where we get to go from void and bring into form. And so not every woman chooses to have children, is able to have children. And even if she had, it doesn't mean that you have to choose one or the other, but we can create businesses. This is another place of creation. And so the womb spiral and the womb gate activation is another way that we can prepare to gracefully birth our businesses. It's how do we literally bring these into existence? And so one of my favorite ways with working through the womb gates, particularly for women in business, is that when we go through the womb spiral, we activate the gates. We go gate 1 to gate 7. And so we start in the body. The first 5 gates are physically in the body. And then the last 2 are outside of the body, connecting us to everything else. And so that's a really great way of going from form into void. And then now that we're in void, the birthing process is the exact opposite. Whether this is birthing a baby or birthing a business, we're literally going from void into form. And so we traverse the womb gates backwards. And so the way I work with this with my clients is that I take the womb gates and the womb spiral and I activate them into that. And now that they've been activated, they have the transmission of each of the 7 gates. Now it's literally, how do we take these and work backwards into bringing them into existence, right? So how do we tap into that idea, tap into that purpose, tap into that creativity? And so one of the things that I've seen over and over again is that people talk about these feminine businesses or these pleasure-based businesses. And the way they speak about it on social media is like, oh, well, if only you just sit here and you self-pleasure, you drink some champagne and you take a bath, you take some pretty selfies, and all of a sudden you have a business, right? We've heard this story over and over again, right? But that's not how businesses are created. That may be a part of your business. It may be a beautiful part of your business. Like, definitely, we need that self care. We need that time to build our own energy in our business. But the business is also about the everyday actions. And so, the way that I like to look at it is it's like we activate the womb gates, we get into void, and then the void back into form, that's the action. And so, we're continually going on this wave of going back and forth between tapping into the ineffable and then bringing it back into form and going back and forth and back and forth. And so it's that void to form space where we have the action. And now that we have what's there, we reassess. What is here? What did I create? What did I pull out of the void? Okay. And now I trust the process. This step 1 of the womb gates. And we heard about this place of trusting already today, right? And so we go and we trust, and then we say, okay, but what's the next step? What's the next piece? I trust myself. I trust my process. I trust that what is here is my learning piece, right? And now I walk back through. And it's this continual space. And it has this same space of nurturing. And we heard the ladies talk about this earlier. When you nurture to have a baby, you nurture yourself. This is the same thing. We're nurturing, we're holding the space for it to come. And we're also allowing that when we birth the business, that it is its own entity that is outside of us. So this is much like our children are their own entities outside of us. And so they take on a life of their own. And it's about holding it lightly. And so there may be this place of like, oh, the business is going this way. This is now time for us to reassess. Do I follow the business to continue to caretake it? Do I find another caretaker? Do I find somewhere else? Do I start another one? Right? And there's all the different ways that this can look. And so this is the beautiful thing about the business, is that your business is very much like your child in the fact that it can take on a life of its own. And so I want to talk a little bit about what happened for me when I activated my womb and how that was super powerful for me in my business, because there is this place of like, where is it? And one of the things that I think that we think about when we think about, oh, womb and womb gate activation, is we get so far into it's this soft feminine. But one of my favorite parts about the womb spiral is that one of the key things that happens in the womb spiral and in these womb gate activations is that we meet our sacred feminine, but we also meet our sacred masculine. And then the two of them together come together in divine union. And this divine union, this interweaving, that's where the magic happens. And this is one of the really powerful things about the womb gates and about the activation, is that we're not just dropping into the feminine, because the feminine is just one polarity. So like if we go into the duality of masculine and feminine, right? The feminine cannot exist without the masculine cannot exist without the feminine, because they literally are just two sides of the same coin, right? So it's just like the right can't live without the left can't exist without the right. And so while we say there's masculine, there's feminine, it's really this spectrum, and it's literally we're just looking at two sides of the same thing. They're two parts of the whole. And so when we go into this space of activating the womb gates, we activate our masculine, we activate our feminine, we have this sacred marriage, what happens is we step into our wholeness. We step into our oneness. And so when we are whole, we are home. When we are whole, we don't need anything else. We might want other things, right? So this isn't saying that you're not going to have motivation or drive or want to go anywhere. But what this is saying is you don't need anything. And they just think of the different times that you've been in a situation and had somebody be like, "Oh my gosh, please come with me. I really want you to." And it's like, did I want to do that? Or did I acquiesce because I didn't want to let the person down? They made me feel guilty. I questioned if I was a good person, right? So the other person isn't coming from a place of, "Oh, you want me to?" Yeah, I actually really want to go to do this thing with you because I know you want to and I want to, but I felt like I had the option to say no. I felt like this was my choice, right? And so when we come from this wholeness, this allows other people to come to their wholeness. And so this is one of the things that I noticed in my business. I used to do a lot of work with trauma. Severe trauma was actually what I really loved doing, and I love doing it still. Like, I love working with, and it's not that I love working with it, that's a weird way of saying it, but it's a passion of mine to work with people who have had this severe trauma. But it's an interesting thing when I don't focus on, "Here, let's look at the brokenness." It's, "Here, let's come to me as wholeness," knowing that all of our wholeness has brokenness in it. But that's the whole, it's complete. There is no, "I need to be fixed." It's, I'm already whole with who I am, and I want to step into something deeper. I want to step into something greater. I want something more. And if I don't get it, I'm okay. Right? So if we step into our business from this perspective of, I am whole, then the clients that come to us are also coming from a place of they are whole. So what you're attracting in your business is different. But it's also that I just had more people showing up because I wasn't trying to fix them. I wasn't coming from this place of being broken. I wasn't coming from the, "Here, let me tell you about these things that have happened in my life." I was coming from the, "This just feels good. This feels natural. This feels whole." And so the clients would come. And so this is one of the things that when we create this sacred union in ourselves, then we invite other people who have found this solidity, this centeredness, this groundedness within them to come play. And what I found is what happened was that my clients started coming and being, meeting the assignments more. Like, they'd do their homework, they'd make their payment plans and things like this. And so that was a huge, huge shift that happened. The other big thing was one of the big things that we talk about in the womb gates is devotion. Devotion is a huge, huge component of the womb spiral. And this is a question that I continue to ask myself on a daily basis. What am I devoted to? And I use the answer to this question to guide my next step and next step and next step. But for me, when my business is an extension, is my purpose, right? Like, I have my purpose, and the way that I physically act out my purpose, the way that my purpose shows up in three-dimensional reality and gross reality in this world is through my work, right? This is the way that I embody, that I act out my business. And so, what am I devoted to? Well, of course, I'm devoted to my purpose, my divine reason for being, right? That's what I'm devoted to. Okay. And then I can go further and further into the specificity of my purpose, but I want to keep this a little vague so that way you can hear this and start to think about your purpose and say, okay, so this is my purpose. I can, feel into that. I know what my purpose is. And now I can ask the question of, okay, what am I devoted to? I'm devoted to my purpose. Okay. What is that next step? What is that next step? And so for me, this has really helped with burnout in a business. This has really helped with, ooh. And I watch this happen with people all the time. They come to my business partner and I, and they come and they're like, okay. And we talk to them and we're like, so what have your offers been? How are those working out for you? We check out their social profiles. It's like, okay, so you were promoting this for a week, and then you were promoting this for a week, and then you promoted this for a week, and then you promoted this for a week. What's your purpose? Why? Like, what are you doing here? And actually, in like the big question, it's like, if your purpose isn't big enough to make you cry, it's not big enough. Like, if you are not fully invested in your purpose, then you're going to get all over these places. But if you keep saying, what is my purpose? And how am I devoted to my purpose? Then there is no question of, am I motivated? Am I getting distracted? The reason that I am here is to be in this purpose, is to walk this path. This is what I'm doing. And so if we keep asking ourselves this, what am I devoted question to? And we have developed a purpose that is strong enough, then we keep walking forward towards our purpose and use our business as the vehicle to take us to that purpose. And so we keep staying in with our business. And so even when it comes into these tasks, the mundane tasks that we don't particularly love to do, especially as new business owners, like when my business partner and I started our business, we did everything. We wrote every email. We did our own graphic design. We wrote contracts. We did everything, right? And now I have lots of people that do those things for me so I can really focus on the purposes, on the tasks that I love to do, on making content and serving clients, which is what gives me great joy. But what got me through those beginning stages of my business that made me say, okay, yeah, I'm going to write another contract. Yeah, I'm going to do this thing that I'm not great at. That made me do a lot of those basic things at the beginning was this devotion. I am devoted. Yes, I'm devoted to my clients. Yes, I'm devoted to my business. Yes, I'm devoted to myself. But for me, the biggest devotion was my purpose. And all of those other devotions came in service to devoting to my purpose. And so when we look at how do we use the womb, it's like it's crazy. Like as I start to talk about all of these different concepts, because these are different concepts that are literally directly linked to different parts of our womb gates. And like I said, 5 of the 7 of those are physically inside of all of us, but have anatomical parts to people who were born with uteruses and female genitals, right? Everyone has them energetically inside of them, but approximately half the population was born with them physically inside of them. I was one of those people. And as I talk about this, I literally feel these energetics coming out of different parts of my body. I'm like, ooh, I feel this in my G-spot. Ooh, I'm feeling my cervix right now. I'm feeling my womb right. I'm actually feeling this. And that's the crazy part about all of this, is that it's not just intellectual, it's not just esoteric, but this is the embodiment of these practices, and that we can literally transmit them through our physiology, whether that is anatomically or energetically in those places in the second chakra. And so this combination of being whole and being devoted really put me into this place of confidence to express what it is that I do, it is that I serve, and how powerful the work is that I do. So often I find, particularly people who are new in business, it's like, yeah, I do this, but I am not quite ready to shine. I'm not quite ready to say these things. And the thing that I found is when a woman embodies or activates her womb, she comes into her body, she comes into her confidence, and she is here to share her work with the world. She's here to say, oh my gosh, I have this welling of desire, of it's not even desire, it's just like, I have so much energy of what I have so much of. It's overflowing and outflowing. And it's being that I just have to give this. I just have to do this because this is what's coming from me and this is how I'm serving. And when it comes from this, I just have so much of this and I have to give this away because it's so beautiful. Then it comes into this place of confidence because I'm not choosing to share this. I'm not picking what I want to share. It's literally, I am so full of this. All that I have is to give this away, is to share this, to help other people receive this gift that I literally have to give. And so when we have this, we step into confidence in ourselves, step into confidence in our work. And this allows us to take decisive action. And through decisive action, we are able to have things happen faster, right? We're not spending this wishy-washy time of, do I do A, do I do B, do I go left, do I go right? It's literally choose, decide, do. And then you do the action, you review what happened from the action, and you move forward. And this goes back to trust, trusting yourself, trusting the process, trusting your business, trusting your skill, and trusting your connection to the cosmic womb or the void, which is where you channel all of this into, and then through your inner knowing and coming back out into existence. And so it goes back into this void form thing, but that's where the confidence comes. And this is where you stop self-sabotaging and create the beauty that is your business. And so this confidence is something that I've watched in myself, I've watched in my clients, and this confidence comes from knowing beyond you, right? That this is no longer you. So you're no longer standing out in a wind by yourself, but you are now connected in a community of connected, activated wombs with all of the other women around you. And you're connected with the cosmic womb, and you're connected with the earth. And all of this is together. And so now I'm not standing out here by myself. I'm now like an aspen tree where I am just the fruiting body of the rhizome that's here and standing up. But my root system is connected to all of these other wombs. And so I don't feel alone. I feel part of community. And so that takes away that vulnerability and allows me to step into confidence. And that confidence propels my business forward. That confidence propels all of our businesses forward. And this is why when we do this individually, it's super powerful. But when we do this collectively with our sisters, and when we do this, like I've taken my business partner through the womb soil, having us both have this activated womb just makes it even more powerful, because a single activated womb is powerful. A collection of activated wombs is the most powerful thing I've ever seen. And this is what helps us stand in our power and create magic and create businesses and change the world. So thank you all so, so, so much for being here and listening to me talk about subjects that I love to talk about so much. Thank you so much, Zephyria.
Thank you, Mariah. I enjoyed that so much. There were so many like one-line quotes in there that I was like, oh my God, I don't have a pen and a paper to write down all these pieces. But that was really beautiful. And thank you so much for wrapping that with the piece of like we're not alone. And that's the whole point of doing this work, and that's the whole point of this particular event, and that's the whole point of the temple, is this remembrance that we get to walk together and we don't have to do it alone. And even in the times when it feels like we're alone, we're in our own spaces creating our own things, we still get to feel one another and to feel that really, really deep connection. So thank you so much for bringing that piece in. I to feel it, like it's words that I use often, but to get to feel it through you is really very heart opening. So thank you, darling.
You're so welcome.
I so appreciate you. And there's a few people putting their little, there's some thank you Mariahs from Melanie, and so much wisdom. Thank you. And so inspiring. Thank you so much, Mariah. So lots of beautiful comments. Thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thank you. Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
Bye-bye.